Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Boy say, here we go. A person, let's say he wants to bring a Ayla. He wants to bring something special to the Rebbeinu Shalom. He didn't do an Aver, he wants to bring an Ayla. He takes an animal, he sets it aside, he's magdash it. He sets it aside, says, one day I'm going to go up to Yerushalayim, I live in Tzfat, one day I'm going to go up to Yerushalayim, I'll bring this animal as a Ayla. Ayla. Comes to the Beis Hamikdash, he tells the Kohen, he gives the Kohen, he says, here, I want to give an Ayla to the Mizbeach. What happened was, let's just pretend the Kohen was super, super tired. And he shechted it as a shlamim. Okay, that's what happened. Why? Kacha. The Kohen got famished. He's so busy doing hundreds of korbanos, the guy told him it's Ayla, he says it's a shlamim. According to Rashi, he actually says it. Rashi's l'shitasa, you're supposed to say Ayla, you're supposed to say shlamim. So there was a problem of l'shma. That's called l'shma. It wasn't the right intent. The guy brought an Ayla. He wanted to bring an Ayla, not a shlamim. And the Kohen messed up, and the Kohen said, it's a shlamim. Why? He's tired. He's a shlamazel. So, kol ha-zevachim shenizbechu sheloi l'shman ksherim. No, the halacha is that at the end of the day, even though the Kohen messed up, the animal is kosher. You continue, you take this sheep, and now when you do Kabbalah, what do? You think to yourself, it's a Ayla. You don't continue with Shlamim. It's a Ayla. You do the Aylacha, the Kohen says to himself, I'm bringing Ayla. He brings the Ayla. You messed up, it's kosher. Ella, Shloi Alu L'Bailim L'Shem Chayva. But it doesn't work for the owner. The owner is not Yoitza Yidei Chayva. He has to go back and bring another sheep, who has to pay for it, a discussion. But he has to bring another. He wasn't Yaitza. The animal is kosher. However, there are two animals, two korbanos that it doesn't work. Chutz min ha-pesach v'chatas. Korban Pesach, if somebody brings a korban Pesach to the Beis Hamikdash, and the Kohen messes up, instead of saying, this is a korban Pesach, he says, this is an Ayla. You take that animal, what do you do with it? You throw it in the garbage. You don't continue with it. So, a korban Pesach, v'chatos, if somebody, let's say it was Mechal Shabbos by mistake, and he wants to bring a chatos, he brings the korban to the Kohen, he says, this is a chatos for my Chil Shabbos. The Kohen says, beautiful, and he says, Harei zeh shlamim. Throw it out. You don't even continue doing anything with it. HaPesach b'zmanoi, this korban Pesach we're talking about is during the season of bringing korban Pesach, which is on the 14th of Nisan, after Chatzos. A chatas b'chol zman, but a chatas, this applies to chatas in every situation. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer, so now we have four shitas here. Tanakam just said only a chatas and a korban Pesach is a problem. Rabbi Eliezer Oimer afa asham. There's another korban called asham, similar to chatas. It comes for mi'ila and gneva, nazir, mitzayra, shivcha. It's different, but similar to chatas. And once again, HaPesach b'zmanoi, v'chatas b'asham b'chol zman. Korban Pesach is only on the 14th of Nisan, chatas all year round. Omer Rabbi Eliezer, and he explains, hachatas ba'al chet, chatas comes for a sin, says Taisves 90% of the time. It's not accurate. There's some chatas, we even learned that paraduma is considered a chatas. It's not for a sin, chatas. So, there are chatais that don't come for a sin, but 90% of the time it's for a sin. V'asham ba'al chet, also 90% of the time it's an asham, is for an aveira. Just like a chatas is puzzle when you say that it's not a chatas, you say it's a shlamim, throw it out. So, another shita. Rabbi Eliezer shita that this applies also to anashim. Yosef ben Chayni Omer, Hanishchatim l'shem Pesach l'shem chatas psulim. Yosef ben Chayni says, let's flip it. What if a person is bringing a Ayla and says, the Kohen says, this is not an Ayla, this is a korban Pesach. Not a korban Pesach that he said is a Ayla, but a Ayla that he said is a korban Pesach. The reverse. Puzzle. Throw it out in the garbage. What day of the year? Only on Erev Pesach for korban Pesach. Shimon Achi Azariah. Shimon, the brother of Azariah. So Rashi right away jumps in here. What's this Shimon Achi Azariah? Says Rashi, Azariah took care of his brother Shimon. He supported him in Torah. So because he supported him, so he's always named after his brother. Shimon, the brother of Azariah. Says the Mishnah, Shimon Achi Azariah Omer, another pshat, another shita. Shchatan l'shem gavoya mehem. If you go up a level, ksherim. L'shem namach mehem, psulim. If you go down a level, it's possible. Keitzad, what's the case? Kachi kachim shchatan l'shem kachim kalam. You took from the right side of the chart, anything from the kachim kachim, and you said it's a kachim kalam. That makes it possible. Kachim kalam. But if you went from the left side, a kachim kalam, like a korban pesach, shishchatim l'shem kachim kachim, well, not a korban pesach, anything but, nazir b'char, l'shem kachim kachim, ksherim. If you said it's something higher than the level, then it's kosher. So, ha-b'char b'amaiser, the b'char and the maiser shishchatim l'shem shlamim, take from the bottom of the left list, you take the b'char and the maiser, and you said that it's something from the top of the list, shlamim, but they're all within the same category of kachim kalim, Sheirim, it's kosher. Why? Because shlamim is more chomer than a b'char meiser. In what way? So let me just show you because it's new. They did this there's something called smicha. Smicha means that you lean on the animal with all your might. Here it is. First time that we have it animated. Now you can feel it. Shlamim has smicha. B'char meiser doesn't have smicha. All different things. The amount of blood that you sprinkle, the chulu. So, therefore, if you shecht the top one in kachim kalim, and you had in mind that it's the lowest, it's a b'char meiser, then puzzle. As the Gemara, we don't even need this, but here just to make it clear, this is the lashon of the Mishnah. Ella, but shaloi alu l'bailam. Why do you need that extra word Ella? Just say v'lo ya'aleh l'bailam. If you have the wrong intent, no good. The owner has to bring another carbon. What's Ella? So Gemara's medayik, and I always love when Rebbe added one word and the Gemara adds 10 lines to explain that one word. Like if Hedi Ella lama le'lemisna Ella shalei alu lama le'lemisna shalei alu listen v'lo ya'aleh l'bailam l'shem chayva. Hakam Ashman. This is what it comes to tell us. Comes to tell us a tremendous chiddush here. You should know that the owner has to bring another carbon. You should know that this carbon is just like any other carbon. Don't say, oh, the carbon messed up, so this one I'll throw into the garbage. If I want, I can continue. If I don't want, I'll throw it in the garbage. No. This is kaddish. This is a real carbon. And you're not allowed to change. You're not allowed to say, oh, from now on I'll have in mind that it's a shlamim. I messed up at the shechita. Let me just continue and say that the zrik is also a shlamim. No, this is a noila. You messed up at one point, great. We continue weiter, and you're going to continue with thinking the right thought of a noila. Because the Rabba Damar Rabba, oila sheshchata, like Rabba says, oila sheshchata shalei l'shma. Any oila that you had the wrong intent, you thought that it's a shlamim. Also, lizrik dam shalei l'shma. You cannot have intent for a shlamim when you throw the blood. You have to have the right intent. Ibaisem Svara, some say that it's logic. Ibaisem Akra, I can learn from a pasuk. Ibaisem Svara, interesting. The Gemara tells us the logic first, because that's Torah. Torah is logical. Why? What's the logic? Mishum Deshaniba, because he messed up. Kolhani L'Shaniba V'Lezel, he should continue messing up and go weiter. You don't try to make up the bad machshava of Daila. No. In the next 3 avodas, you have the right intent. You make it up. You do it. You say makro, and what? And that's logic. That's a logical thing. You don't need a pasuk for it. You should keep the words of your mouth. Now listen to this. Like you made a neder, nidava. These are the 2 things. A neder means Ariel like carbon. In general, I'm going to bring a carbon. Now, if this carbon dies, I have to bring another one. I have to replace it. When a person nidava means harezu. This specific one is a carbon. But the point is, why do we start off saying in the pasuk kashen darta? You said a general neder, and then you said nedava. It's specific. Is it a general nedava? It's a harezu or it's harei alai? Which one is it? Says the Gemara, Hai nedava nederu. We started the pasuk saying it's a neder. Daf Beis Amud Beis. Im kemoshe nedarta siso ye neder. If you can follow through and continue, this is oila. You continue with oila. Great. Vimlai v'nedava ye. If you messed up, so let this one be in a dava, in addition to the one you're going to bring later. When and just because it's a nedava, are you allowed to make mistakes? Are you allowed to continue having in mind that it's a shlamim when it's really a noila? No. So you continue going with the shlamim. So let me ask you, let's say you had the right kavana, oila. This is oila the whole time. That's perfect. Let's say you had a bad kavana, red. No good. That's what the Mishnah talks about. What if it's parif? It's in between. Meaning, zero. His brain is empty. So we're going to see that it is good. It is good. The lack of, without a negative. The negative was what ruins it. Parav is okay. Yet when it comes to a get of a woman, it's the opposite. You can't have parav. You can't have neutral. You have to have, for this woman, you have to have the positive. Forget the negative. Not even neutral. Neutral is not good by a get. Ravina tells Rav Papa, where were you Friday night when Rava gave an unbelievable drush? I guess they used to do Eon even on Shabbos, because I once saw a whole shtickle Torah. Shabbos is a time to relax. No, a drasha. Where were you? Chaval, mamish, a shame, you missed it. The Rami Rava Mili Mal Yisahadadi Vishanilu. Rava said beautiful stuff over. He asked a contradiction, and he even answered it. My Mili Mal Yasa asked Rav Papa, what did he say? No, tell me over. It says in our Mishnah that if you have Zevachim, if you have a carbon shenizbuchu that was shechted without the right intent, instead of thinking about an oil, you thought about a shlamim. So he's medayik. Time is shaloi l'shman. It's because you made a negative thought. Hastama. What if you had a neutral thought? Alu nami lebaylim l'shem chayva. It seems like if it was just neutral, it would be a good carbon. Alma stama nami l'shman dami. Neutral is like Lishma. So that was step one. Very meaning, the contradiction is, and this is a contradiction we're going to have to answer. And by the way, he asked more questions, which we're going to get into tomorrow. Very meaning, the problem is, if you wrote a get, it was written not for a particular woman, pasul, stamanami pasul. If you wrote not for this woman, it's pasul, and if you wrote it neutral, it's pasul. So what's the difference between a get and a carbon, which neutral is good, and by a get, it's not good? Vishani, I'll tell you, and he answered, Zevachim b'stamen l'shmonoimdim. What happened over here? The guy lives in Tzvat, he put aside his oila. He said, this is oila. So it's already an oila. You already thought about it. It's always an oila. Oila. He even tells the kohen it's oila. Kohen went ahead and messed up, but it started as oila. When it comes to a woman and somebody writing a get, Beichtei said that this get is for this woman. A woman is not about to get divorced. This is Zevach. He set it aside. He's magdish it as oila. A woman is not ready to get divorced. Taisus even brings in the Rishonim talk about it. What about a woman that needs to get divorced? A woman that was over an Esher, but he's not mechuyev to divorce her. He just can't be with her. And even if yes, not this bezdin, maybe that bezdin. Who said that this guy's get is for her? I'm trying to explain. How do we know that a regular carbon without negative or positive thought is kosher? Stam. Neutral. How do I know this concept? And classic Gemara style, we go through the ideas that are not going to work until we get to the idea that works. Look, if you look at the Mishnah, this is better if you know Hebrew, but if we read it by ourselves, what does it say? Nizbach u'shechted loy l'shma. What does that mean? There was a negative. It was shechted with a negative. Look at the next line. It's the same words, but the negative comes before the sentence. Loy nizbach l'shma. There wasn't a l'shma. It doesn't say that there was a negative, that the kohen put in a negative. The first one says nizbach. When he shechted it, loy l'shma. He put a negative into the animal. The second one is, the negative comes before first. Loy. There wasn't a zvicha l'shma. It doesn't say that he put a negative thought in there. So maybe I can be medayik because the Tana put the loy in the middle of the sentence rather than the beginning. That means there was a negative, and if there's not a negative, there's a neutral, then it's good. The only reason why our Mishnah says it's possible because there was a negative, a real negative. The loy is not in the beginning of the sentence. And that's how I know. That's because he put a negative, but if he would have been neutral, been good, the same thing which you should say by a get. It says the same thing. The loy is in the middle of the sentence, not in the beginning of the sentence. Yet we say over there that neutral is bad. It doesn't say the word lie in the beginning of the sentence, yet it's still no good. So let's go to another thing. This is not. We have two cases of a carbon pesach that the Mishnah describes. How do you start off with the right intent and go to the wrong intent? And how do you start off with the wrong intent and go to the right intent? Two cases. What are the cases? L'shem pesach or l'shem shlamim. He started off good. Carbon pesach. Ended off bad. Shlamim. What's the obvious? How can you infer from here? What's the obvious diuk? Why do you have to say that he started off pesach and went to shlamim? Just say he started off with pesach and then became neutral. Neutral is also no good, according to you. Elamai, you see that neutral is okay. That's why he has to have a negative thought of shlamim. You see from here that what's the word I'm looking for? If he's missing any thought at all, that's not the word I'm looking for, but if it's neutral, the absence, that's the word I was looking for. In the absence of anything, it would be good. It's only because he had a negative thought of shlamim. So you see from here that a neutral thought is kosher. Says Gemara, no, the obvious answer. Perhaps if there was an absence of any thought, just like us, we start Shemona Esrei, let's say. Well, we have Kavana, we start Shema. You don't have to think that I'm being Mekayim Mitzvahs say the entire Shema from beginning to end, or maybe you do, but we don't. We start off and we figure, okay, now it's going to go well. If a guy starts off saying this is a carbon Pesach, he doesn't have to think every 10 seconds, oh, this is Pesach. He started off Pesach. Obviously, he's finishing off a Pesach. It's only because he put a negative thought that it's a shlamim that it ruins it. But if the absence of any thought, it would be the first thought that continues on for the rest. So the second case. What's the second case? He started off bad, finished off good. And what's the case? And once again, we're going to make the same inference. It's only because he said to himself that it's a shlamim, he put a negative. He started off negatively, and then he went to the Pesach. But if it would have been the absence of any thought, a neutral thought, and then he went to Pesach, it would be kosher. So you see from there that the absence of a thought, or a pariv, or a neutral, is all good. Same kind of answer. Because he was absence of a thought, neutral, and then he went to Pesach, so obviously the whole thing he meant to do Pesach. But that's why we have to stick in that it was a shlamim. That's why it ruins it, because he had a negative thought. So we still don't have it right. Inami, I did ton of the shlamim. You know what? You're right. It should have said an absence of a thought. It should have said it was neutral. The reason why he's stuck in shlamim, because throughout Shas, in all Mishnayos, people had to remember things by heart. So we have to be good with the words. The words have to match each other, the Reisha, the Seifa. So in the Reisha we used Pesach and Shlamim, so in the Seifa we also use Pesach and Shlamim. But it could have actually said the absence of a thought too. So finally, let's just finish this. Elma, it says you have to have good thoughts, 6 good thoughts, every carbon, Rabbi said, every carbon, Shalom Aleichem, every carbon. Elma, l'shem shisho dvarim hazevach nizbach. There are 6 thoughts that you have to have. You have to have l'shem zevach for this carbon. This is a noila. This is a shlamim. L'shem zevach. It's for Ruvain, not for Shimon, because if you have thoughts for Shimon, it ruins it. L'shem Shem Hashem for the Rebbeinu Shalom. L'shem Ishim, that you're saying that everything, you have to put everything on the fire. You have to make sure that it goes on the fire. Everything. L'shem Reach. Make sure you don't barbecue it first and then put it on the mizbeach. It has to go up with fresh raw meat, the fragrance of raw meat being burnt. L'shem nichoyach, like to do a satisfaction for Hashem, so to speak. That's the 6 things. The chatas v'asham, there's a 7th thing. If you bring a chatas and asham, he has to have l'shem chet. For this in this avera, this guy was Michal Shabbos by mistake. Says Rabbi Yossi, don't think about anything. I don't want you to think about a thing. Because Bezin make a condition here. Don't think about anything. Why? If you start thinking stuff, you might think the wrong one. Don't think anything, and it'll be okay. Apostle, if you have even a half a minute to say that an absence of a thought or neutral thought is puzzle, How's it possible? How could Rabbi Yossi say, don't think about anything? Kami Bezdin or Masni Misl the Mifsal. Rabbi Yossi is going to tell Bezdin, he's going to tell you not to think about anything when it's actually possible what he's telling you to do? Obviously, he's telling you to do something that's kosher. A neutral thought is kosher. Rabbi Sai, thank you for coming. Continue tomorrow and the day after. Have a wonderful day.